Welcome to this webinar on how to use document baskets in the document management system. So a quick run through our objectives for this webinar. First thing we want to talk about is what baskets actually are and how you can make best use of them. So really they're just a way of being able to group documents together to make them easy to access for you. Now, documents are already grouped together in the document management system by the document pools, but that's a business requirement, whereas the baskets are more flexible in terms of how you want to access the documents as an individual. So there could be documents that you need to review or amend on a regular basis, maybe even daily, and instead of having to manually go and find them and search for them in the document management system, you can pop them in a basket and access them from there. Now you can use baskets to issue out or informally issue out documents or just email a zip file of documents to a colleague. And this is where temporary baskets are really useful. So you can just grab a few documents by ticking the check boxes next to them and hit the email icon. Whereas named baskets are the ones that you'd want to refer to on a regular basis. And that's where my example of having to regularly review or update specific documents can be useful. You put them in a named basket and access them from a dash part on the personal zone. And that takes me nicely on to the next level. You can create new baskets from the document management system and the documents that you found that you think you might want to access easily again in future. But all of the baskets, you can access them via the dash part on the personal zone. So there's a very quick and easy way for you to get to those documents if needed. Now, if you do ever create a basket and you think it would be really useful for the rest of your team to use it as well, instead of them having to then go and set up the same basket on their system, you can share your basket with them. And there's a couple of different options available to you here. You could share the basket so that they can only view the information and email it out, or you can give them the edit rights so that they can add other documents and amend the list of documents that are within your basket. And then last but not least, we've talked about sort of global baskets, creating them from the document management system, but you can also create record-specific baskets. So if there's a project that you're working on or any other type of record where you need to collate together some useful documents for that record, then you can go into the record and create the basket from there and therefore filter those documents down by that particular record. So we'll go through all of these examples just now. So if you want to learn more, keep watching. So I've just shared my screen. We're looking here at the personal zone, starting with the baskets dash part. And what I'm going to do now is jump into the information zone and start from there. I've got some documents returned to me in the results, and what I want to do is create a temporary basket so that I can just send a couple of documents out. So all we actually need to do is get the documents in the results that you need to send out and just click the checkbox next to each of the documents. And if you've got your baskets tab selected, then you'll see the documents start to fill up in that temporary list there. And then we've got the option to then email the basket, which takes you through the email wizard within the document management system, or offline the basket as a zip file. So if I go through the email option first, this just brings up the wizard, double checks that these are the ones that we want to send out. We can click next, and then we can go through the usual email options. So this is bringing up the contact list for the records that these documents are associated with, and we can just specify who it is that we want to send these documents to. And then it's going to ask us for a subject. Might just be sending this out to a colleague. You've got your usual text box here for putting your email text in and some word processing controls at the top of the screen here. If you are emailing this basket out to an external contact, then you won't see your email signature in this window, but it will get added onto the email as you send it out. Then going to ask us where we want to save this email. So I'm just going to save it into project correspondence because this is going to be a project related email, and then I can specify details. And then we get some email options here. I've got multiple email addresses set up against my contact record, so I could specify different ones and select from the drop down if there were multiple emails set there. If I want to copy myself in, then I can specify the email address to copy myself in on. And then you'll see here that we have got the default setting in this system to zip this up so that recipients will receive a zip file. And if we don't want it to do that in this case, perhaps it's just one or two very small documents, then you can deselect that checkbox and send them as individual files. What you can also do here is send attachments to users. So by default, if you were to email this basket to a colleague, then they will be emailed the links to the documents, the actual hyperlinks, and that will take them straight back into the document management system. Now, if you know these people are perhaps going to be out on site and they want to pick the attachment up on their mobile device, then it's a good idea to send them the actual attachment so they can open that file up. Otherwise, they will be asked to log into PIM. And then you've got your usual delivery and read receipts below. So it'll just confirm the recipients, and then we can hit finish, and that has allowed us to email these documents very quickly out of the document management system. And then if we go to the zip basket option, again, just confirms which documents we want to send out. And then you'll see at the bottom of the screen here, we've just got that download option. So I can just click on Save As and drop that temporary, because we're still using a temporary basket, that temporary basket into any location on my PC or on a server somewhere if you wanted to navigate to a network drive. Just cancel that back down. So that's temporary baskets, pretty easy. Just find the documents you need, tick the check boxes, and jump up onto this baskets tab at the top of the screen here. And then you've got your email and your zip options associated with that. Now, moving on to named baskets and creating something that's a bit more permanent. If you've got any scenarios where you think, oh, actually, this is quite handy, I might need to do this again, or these are documents you're going to need to update regularly, then what you can do is click on New Basket and actually give this basket a name. You can always change this at a later date if you want to edit the name. So I'll just give it a name for now, click out of that field and click Save. And we'll see in the current basket drop-down, that's changed from temporary to useful docs. So I have got a basket now called useful docs. And if I wanted to go ahead and create another temporary basket, then I can just click on the drop-down, switch over to temporary, and you'll see the list on the left-hand side is cleared out. And I can continue on and send out another temporary basket if need be. So reloading my useful docs named basket now. If we've got any other scenarios where perhaps you don't need this anymore, obviously you've got the obvious thing to be able to delete that basket. And when you're working with baskets in this way, really all you're doing is adding hyperlinks to the documents back into the document management system. So by deleting a basket, you're not deleting the documents out of the DMS, you're just removing that quick link and just saying, I don't need that anymore. You can add more documents to your basket. So if I just grab this one as well, you can see that I've now got 4 documents, and I just click on the Add to Basket to add that 4th document to my useful docs basket. So that's everything that's available to you from the information zone, and you can do the same thing from the document management system that you access from your records as well, such as a project. Now, if we flip over to the personal zone now, and let's have a look at the baskets dash part. So I would expect to see that basket showing here, but what we usually need to do is just refresh the dash part. just want to force it through. And there we go. I've got one basket displayed here, and it's telling me that it's 2 megabytes in size, and I've got 4 documents listed in there. So you can actually have several different baskets for different purposes, and they'll all be listed nice and cleanly in the baskets dash part. So if I wanted to view these documents now, I just click on the basket name. It opens this window and lists the basket contents to me. Looking at these icons within here, if I wanted to remove this particular document from the basket, then I can just click on the remove icon, click OK to confirm, and that will disappear. Again, you're not deleting the document, you're just getting rid of it out of your basket and removing the hyperlink. We can check documents out to the working files in order to edit them. And again, like I say, so any kind of scenario where you need access to some documents on a regular basis, instead of having to go and find them from the DMS, jump into your basket, hit your checkout edit option, and that's going to open the document up for you and allow you to work on it. Close that spreadsheet back down. And it will indicate to your colleagues that you've got that checked out, so they won't be able to then work on that until you check your changes back in again. And while we're talking about working with documents, same security permissions that have been set in the document management system also apply to baskets as well. So if you don't have access to a document in the DMS, you're not going to be able to access it via a basket either. We've also got the option to be able to email the document individually, and if I click on the More drop down, we've got all of the usual options for being able to work with those documents, and those are explained in the document management system videos. If I wanted to add more documents to this basket, then we click on the icon in the top right hand corner of the screen. That brings up the DMS view. I can go through and use all of the searching tools to be able to select the documents that I need. You can even add emails into the basket as well. Continue through and we can see those other new ones brought through. That's also just refreshed the screen and put the little green tick icon next to this costs estimate spreadsheet because I've got it checked out. So the green ticks are the same as the indicators in the document management system, reminding you that they are in your working files. Now, another really important note to be aware of here is that because baskets are really only containing hyperlinks to the documents, if those documents are amended and new versions are created, then the basket will immediately represent the latest version of the document. So I've got these 2 documents checked out. I've got my planning report at version 1.4. What I'm going to do now is check my changes back in again, and we should see that version 1.5 is then displayed in the basket. Information zone, I'll go to working files from here. Checking in my planning report document, and just to highlight that that's going to automatically increment to version 1.5. I'm happy with all of the other information about where it's going to be saved. That's just going to pick up on previous settings, so I'll click OK to that. So that's been saved back in to the document management system with the new version. And if I jump into my useful documents basket now, we can now see that that document is displayed at version 1.5. So that's just something to take note of there in terms of your version control. Close that window back down, have a quick look at these options here. Same icon here to view the basket as clicking on the basket name, so that'll open the window up. You can edit the basket name from here and its actual properties, and I'm going to come back to that in a moment because it's also the place you go to if you want to share your basket with a colleague. It will be indicated if it's shared by this icon, which is grayed out at the moment because I've not shared it with anyone. This is your zip file icon, so much like we were able to download the zip file or email the basket from the information zone, you've got the same options from here as well. So I can download the zip file, I can email the basket, and I can delete the basket altogether from here too. So that's all pretty straightforward on this screen. And now what I wanted to do is just show you if you wanted to create a new basket from here. You've got this icon in the top right hand corner. So if you just happen to be in the information zone, create your basket from there. If you happen to be on the personal zone, you can create your new basket from the baskets dash part. So if I click on this, it asks us first of all for the basket name, and it does also ask us if we want to link the basket to an entity or record type, as we call it. You can do it from here by specifying the type of record in the entity class field and then the specific record name in the third field down. But it's also very easy to just go straight to the record and add the basket from there. And I'm going to show you how to do that in a moment. These tabs at the top are all about sharing. So rather than create a new basket and share it, I'm just going to show you how to share an existing basket. So I'm going to close this form down, edit my existing basket. That'll bring up exactly the same form with the pre-populated name. And then what I can do is jump over to my users tab and use this tab if I wanted to share the basket with named colleagues. So I just click into the add user, type out my colleague's name, select them from the list. Leaving it like this will allow them to go and search for that basket, and they can view the content of it. They could work with the documents if they have the edit permissions to work with the documents, but they wouldn't be able to add any new documents or remove documents from that basket unless I tick the edit checkbox to give them edit permissions to do that. So again, by adding named individuals here, you can choose who is going to get edit rights and who isn't. The other option that you have in terms of sharing is moving on to the user roles or security roles within the system. So if you're aware of who is in these roles, then you could use those. And then with your communities, this is another type of way of grouping people together. So if you've got various different groups of people, it was typically used as email distribution groups, then you could be able to specify your sharing your basket with a community of colleagues. But typically I tend to find a handful of people from the users tab does the job. I'm going to save that now, and I've now shared that basket with my colleague Priya. What I want to do is log in as Priya and show you what that looks like from her perspective. Switching over to Priya's login, if I refresh the dash part, you might expect that new basket to pull through automatically, but it doesn't. This is where Priya is going to have to go and manually search for the baskets that have been shared with her. The main reason for that is that you do have the opportunity, as you've seen from the sharing tools, to share your basket with quite a large group of people automatically. And if everyone was to go ahead and share a couple of their baskets with all staff, then very quickly your baskets dash part is going to build up with a long list of baskets which you may not even want to make use of. So the idea here is that Priya has the control to add this shared basket into her dash part if she chooses to, and she can go ahead and do that by clicking on the binoculars icon, and this allows her to search for specific baskets. So if she knows the basket name, she can pop some name details in, or if she knows who it was that shared the basket with her, perhaps if you are sharing a basket with a couple of colleagues, just drop them an email or have a chat with them and let them know you've done that, and then they could just search on your name as the originator who created the basket. Otherwise, if there aren't going to be many, you could just hit run search and tell the search to return back all of the baskets that have been shared with you. So Priya just wants the second one that I've just shared with her. So she can tick that particular one, return that selection, and that basket will then be added into the personal zone for her. Save those changes I've made. So all of the same icons apply here. A couple of changes though. Even though Priya is able to go into the basket name and add documents into it, she's not able to edit the properties of the basket itself. So if I just part a little bit bigger, give myself a bit more space, there we go. So she can go into the basket and she's got this icon here to add documents to it, and this icon here to remove documents from it because I gave her edit permissions. And what she cannot do is edit the basket name or share it with other people. Okay, only I can do that as the originator. Also, she can't delete the basket because only I can do that again as the originator. But what she can do is remove the basket from her dash part. So if she's added it in error or she no longer needs it, then she can remove it from her system. Okie dokie. So that's covered so far temporary baskets from the information zone, the baskets dash part, and also sharing baskets via the baskets dash part. What I want to do now is just nip back to my own login. And let's have a look at project-based baskets. So I'll jump into a project record. Should be able to find baskets from the Tools tab. So if I can't see along the top of the screen, I need to go to More. I can then select Tools. There's a couple of other bands on this screen that I don't need, so I can just click on the header bars to collapse those for now. There's a basket here already that was created by my colleague Thomas Fletcher. Let's click on the name of that one and take a look at it. So I can see a couple of documents in here already, but this is a great example of where I don't have the edit rights to adjust the document list. So I cannot remove it, and the add documents icon is grayed out as well, so I can't add new documents to it. So this is a read-only access to this basket that Tom's given me. That back down. And if I wanted to create a basket from here, then I click on my add new basket icon. Give it a name. We can see here that it's automatically populated these fields. So it's going to be automatically linked to the Cambridge University project because I've added it from here. So this is an easier way to do that. You've got your users tab at the top here if you do want to share the basket with other people and give them edit permissions. And then I can save that basket. I can jump into the basket itself. So I've clicked on the magnifying glass to view the basket. No documents in here yet. So I can click on the Add Documents option to add documents into this basket. One thing to point out here is I'm only going to get the document pools in the list that relate specifically, in my case, to project records. So I'm not going to be able to add anything else from any other parts of the document management system to here. So I get a reduced search filter, and then I can add in any documents that were specific to this particular project. And so here we go. I'm going to flick through between a couple of different areas. Click add, and then it's just pulled through a whole range of different documents on this project and pulled them through into one basket for easy access. Close that down again. And the one thing to bear in mind with emailing as well is take a note of the size of the basket. So that's the total size of the documents themselves, but bear in mind it doesn't take into account the size of the email too. So sometimes that can knock the size of the email over your limit and stop you from being able to successfully send it. And in that case, you'd want to download the zip file and send it by other means. Okay, so just a quick recap of everything that we've gone through so far. Baskets are a really great way of being able to group documents together that are dotted about in different document pools in the document management system. Easy for distribution, but also a really great way of being able to create a sort of a favorites area for documents that you need to access and amend on a regular basis. Temporary baskets are best for the distribution side of things. Your named baskets are best for documents that you need to access regularly in future. All of your baskets can be accessible from the baskets dash part, so you can have a nice neat list there on the personal zone. And you can share baskets with your colleagues if you think they're going to be useful to them. And also you can create baskets on different records. So I used a project record as my example, but you can add baskets to other types of records as well. Couple of key points. Security permissions that have been set in the document management system will always apply to baskets, and also baskets will always display the latest version of your documents. So I hope you found this helpful, and enjoy the rest of your training.